Hello guys. My name is Dikshant and I'm working as a DevOps engineer from last 1 year at a company called RHEL8 that is located in Bangalore. So, um, I'm gonna start this new series of Linux tutorials where I will guide you what I gain in my uh, during my bachelor's or what I gained from my experience. So I'm gonna tell you all those things using this videos. So this is the first video of the series, and this is some setup video I need to tell you. So before doing anything on the OS, we need to install that operating system to work on that particular operating system. Yeah, so we're gonna use a software called Oracle VirtualBox. So, why this software is? Using this software, we can install multiple operating system on the top or on the top of the host operating system. So, I'm using here Windows as my base operating system. On the top of this, I will install this software called VirtualBox. So, using this software, we can install multiple operating systems. How we can install multiple operating systems using this software that I'm gonna tell you in the next video, like how the technology called virtualization is working. So there is another technology similar to this virtualization nowadays that is in the boom called the technology is called containerization. So soon I'm gonna start a series of containerization tool called Docker. So I'm gonna start the series on Docker also. But yeah, I'm gonna tell the working of this particular software of VirtualBox in some coming videos. But yeah, using the software, you can think as of now we can install multiple operating system on the top of one base operating system. So this may be Linux, this may be like Windows, and in the Linux there are multiple distribution also. If you know, so there are multiple distros of Linux. So the one is like RHEL, that is called Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Another is Ubuntu we can use. There is Debian. Many more are there. Like Solris is there. So for this training, we're gonna use the distro called Redhat. Why Redhat? There is not so much specific reason to use Redhat, but I worked on this Redhat Linux. I'm working on this Redhat Linux from many years, last past many years. So yeah, there is only reason to use this, and I recommend you guys to also use the same to be sync with me. Yeah, so let's go to the setup thing. How we gonna set up the Oracle VirtualBox so we can use it to launch multiple operating system on the top of the base operating system. Yeah, so this is the official website. I can give you the link of this particular website on under the description of my video. So from here you can select this Windows or like whatever the base platform you are using. So I'm using Windows here. So if I click on this Windows host, it will automatically download this VirtualBox. And I recommended it to you download this extension pack also. So with this extension pack, it's like uh, it's like additional spec. So it's like kind of buy one get one for us. It will help you in in enhance the features of this VirtualBox. Sometimes some features will not be enabled, so we can use those features by downloading this extension pack and installing it on the VirtualBox. So for the sake of time, I already installed the VirtualBox. You can install here from here and this extension pack also. So let me go uh, to the. So this is kind of the dashboard of this Oracle VirtualBox you can see, and from here we can launch multiple operating systems uh, to you to launch multiple operating systems and how to install that particular extension pack. So if you go to the files here in the left, and then if you go to the preferences, then in the extensions, so here you can click on this particular add sign and you can select the extensions and you can like click on OK and then it will automatically install. Now one more thing I want to tell before installing the software is so there are multiple ways to install the operating system. So first way is like bare metal. Another is what we are using for this training is virtualization. Third one is containerization. So I'm writing container. And another way is like on some cloud. So on the bare metal means on the bare metal means you can like you go to the market, you buy one laptop, and in that laptop one OS is by default installed, and that OS is using that uh, RAM CPU of that machine. So bare metal is kind of like your own server. So yeah, so if you are using the particular your one machine or like you can using your server and on the top of that machines or resources like CPU RAM, you are installing some particular OS. So on your metal or your server, you are installing some software. So that is called bare metal. And from the decades, we are using this only option. So if you buy some laptop from the market or somewhere else, so the OS that comes with that particular laptop is installed by the option called bare metal. Another is virtualization. So why the market is using virtualization is because there are few reasons. A few reasons are in sense if let's say you got a laptop of RAM 16 gigs and some CPU of around some 8 cores, 4 cores. So even though you can't use this the resources properly, and what if you want to work with multi-hybrid environment? So that's why the people are using virtualization. Using virtualization, as I told, on the top of bare metal. So here is Windows. You can install some different another operating systems and same setup is kind of with containerization also. There are few differences in virtualization and containerization. So if you give a comment in the comment box, so I will tell the difference between virtualization and containerization. Kind of the same thing is there. So on the bare metal, at the place of software called Oracle VirtualBox, we are installing some different tool. So there are multiple tools. One of them is Docker. So uh, this will create one layer and on the top of this layer we can install multiple operating system. So same layer we can create with this Oracle VirtualBox, same layer we can create with Docker. So there are some differences in between creating the layer only. So yeah, and on the cloud means on the top of AWS, GCP, or if you're aware of OpenStack. So on the top of these clouds, we can install the operating system. So here we are using their resources. So on the cloud, if we are launching an operating system, those are not our resources. So these are the resources of them. We are only using and we are paying for what we are using. So that's why it's the very famous model pay as you go. So this is the we can say marketing line of cloud. So pay as you go means how much we are using, we need to pay that much only. So if you are aware of services in called like EC2 in GCP, there is a service called virtual machines. Yeah, so why I'm telling you this because if you install the bare metal operating system, so for bare metal operating system we need few things. So few things are like we need always the RAM, CPU, we need the graphics card, we need the Wi-Fi card, network card, and on the top of that, we the most important thing is we need the like pen drive. So if we want to install operating system on the top of bare metal on the top of the laptop, so we convert that particular pen drive into the bootable pen drive. how we convert that bootable pen drive using some like burning of that particular ISO and something. Same here. So for any installing the operating system using any way, maybe that is a way called bare metal, that is a virtualization, or that is a containerization. Anyway, the common thing is we need the bootable disk. Now that bootable disk is having different name in with respect to them. So in bare metal that is a bootable pen drive. In virtualization it's like ISO image. In containerization those are like container images. Yeah, so naming conventions are different, but in the end we need the ISO image from which we can boot the operating system. So I already installed the bootable disk, or I say the ISO image for the Redhat operating system. That if you want, I will give you the link from where to download in the comment box. And now if you want to create, so we need to choose this option called new. Here we need to give the name of our operating system. So I can give like Linux training. And from the type you can select, like as I told, you can install multiple type of operating system. Windows is also there, Linux, Solaris, Mac OS. Yeah, so I am selecting Linux, and in Linux there are multiple another distros. So Red Hat is there, and Debian, Fedora, CentOS. So those are all like distros. I am selecting the Red Hat 64-bit. If I click on next, so it's asking me for memory size. So accordingly you can give how much memory is here in the system you can give. So it's not like that it will consume the memory whatever you are giving. So we are giving some around like 10255 MB. So it's not like that it will block that particular memory of your system. It's like that it's kind of dynamic. It's kind of dynamic. So what you are running inside that particular operating system, how much that task is using memory or CPU, on the basis of the task or the basis of uses like uses of the task, it will consume. So allocating is like you are allocating that particular memory, but it's not like that all the allocated memory is in the use with that particular operating system. It's depend on the task that is running inside that particular operating system. Hard disk, we need to create the hard disk. So you can select this option, create a virtual hard disk now. Why virtual? Because using that, so the main particular hard disk is under the hood of the our laptop. Windows, this is Windows, and inside this there are like hard disk, RAM, CPU. So these are resources all there. So this is real one. If you open the laptop from the back, you can see one hard disk. And why virtual here? Because using that particular software called VM, Oracle VirtualBox, you are using some tricks and tips to convert this hard disk and to divide this hard disk into multiple parts. Why multiple parts? Because if you divide this real hard disk into some virtual hard disk or like virtual parts, then only let's say I am launching this two operating system, then only this after the creation of this virtual hard disk or like virtual parts you can attach to particular operating system. It's not possible to attach this hard disk, real hard disk, to this OS. So that's why we are using, one of the reason is to use VirtualBox also. So VirtualBox will use some tricks or some programs in the background. From that from the real hard disk it will create some virtual hard disk or some virtual parts, then it will attach to that particular operating system. Now you can choose between these two options, fixed size and dynamically allocate. I will recommend to use dynamically allocated. Why? Because even though if you give 1 TB in the dynamically allocated, so it will same the concept with the memory. So it will not consume that 1 TB. So it depend on the task or the processes or the software or the applications that are running inside that operating system. So how much space or how much hard disk they need. So like let's say we given the 1 TB and the only the application needs only like say 1 GB or 1 GB. So that will consume from 1 terabyte, it will create a block of 1 GB and then it will use. But if you give the fixed size like called 1 terabyte, and in your system if there the total hard disk size is 1 terabyte, so it will not possible. Why not possible? Because you are giving the fix as a size. Fix as a size means even though it's not in use for that particular application or particular processes inside the operating system what we are using, still though it will use that 1 TB of space. So we can go with dynamically allocated. I am giving for me I am giving like 100 gigabyte, and let's say create. After creation we need to change some settings. So if I go to the tab called settings, what we need to change, first go to the system, and now floppy is on the top of the priority. So its boot order is like from where to boot the operating system. So if you keep the floppy on the top, every time it will install and then launch the operating system. So floppy is like a cd, and what we can say it's like that ISO we are using. So every time it will install that Reddit Linux from that ISO, and then it will launch. So for that we can make the bootloader priority changes. So I am kept on the hard disk on the top. Why hard disk on the top is sorry. So once it will install the hard disk or the operating system inside the hard disk, then every time it will like check this boot order. Every time when we start that particular operating system, it will check the boot order. So if the hard disk on the priority, and if it founds like operating system is already there inside that hard disk, it will directly launch for us. And I'm going to processor. So I'm using 4 processor here. You can use a 2 also. If I go to the storage, now here in the storage, it will give optical drive. So optical drive is like you need to select uh, from which uh, from which ISO or from which CD you need to boot the system. So I'm giving this particular RHEL 7.5 version. So it's, if you check, it's selected here and see it's an image. Type is image. Why image? Because it's an like ISO device. And if you go to the network tabs, so there are multiple options here. Net, host only, bridge adapter. If you want to learn them more, you can go to the like VirtualBox side and like you can learn more. But I'm choosing bridge adapter here. So what is the use of bridge adapter is here. If we want to connect with the internet and internet packets also we want to come inside that particular operating system, we can use bridge adapter. So it's like a router. Yeah, now we can click on OK. And now if I start, it will start the installation or like installation part of that particular operating system. In between, so it will ask for us to install or test this media. So I will click on install Reddit Enterprise 7.5, and in between it will ask me for a root password or some user setup, something like this. So we need to give password for our user. Why? Because we need to log into that particular operating system. So I'm pausing this video. Once it's done with installing, I will continue and tell you what to do next. Now, one more thing I forgot to tell you, if you click inside this particular screen, so it's a totally different screen of Oracle VirtualBox. And if you try to take this mouse out, like if you want to work with Windows, then it will not, it's not possible. It's the mouse is not going out. So what you need to do is for that you need to press the right control key. Now see, now I'm able to minimize it. Now again I'm op like able to open it. Now if I again click on this screen, it will again this mouse goes to that particular screen. So mouse is like it's created some virtual mouse also for that particular Oracle VirtualBox uh, software. Now let me select India. Then you need to do done. In the installation source, you need to click and check that RHEL 7.5 is there or not. Yeah, done. And so there are multiple options using that you can boot the operating system. Like you want to interact with the operating system graphically, or you want only the command line terminal that's black screen, typically a black screen that you seems if you are running on the servers. So what is the difference between GUI, CLI and everything? I will gonna tell you in the next upcoming videos. But here I am selecting server with GUI to show you some demo. Now, if you go to the installation destination, so it's asking where to create some partition in that particular hard disk. So we created one virtual hard disk that is of 100 gigs. Inside that, it's asking me where to create that partition to install the operating system. Inside that particular hard disk, it will install the operating system. Now, KDump is the another program that is comes with the Redhat DVD or like Redhat Linux feature. It's one kind of feature. So I'm disabling it because it will consume more memory for us. So I don't want to consume my memory more. So let's click on it and disable it. Now the KDump is disabled as you can see, and automatic partition is also selected. Now if you go to the network and hostname tab, so you need to click on this Ethernet or like this option on. Why on? Because this particular virtual box is creating one operating system that is also a virtual operating system. Why virtual operating system? Because that particular virtual operating system, yeah. So let me explain you on this. So why virtual operating system is because it's not using the real resources, it's not using the real RAM, it's not using the real CPU, it's not using the real hard disk. So the resources are itself virtual, and these virtual resources are created with the real resources. So real resources that are available in the laptop or like PC or machine of your system. So from your laptop, there are real RAM, CPU, hard disk. Using that, we installed one software on the top of this laptop or like base OS, that is Windows. So we installed VirtualBox, and this VirtualBox is creating the virtual resources from this real resources. It's creating virtual RAM, VRAM, vCPU. So these terms are like virtual CPU, virtual RAM, virtual hard disk. It's creating, and we are launching operating system by using these virtual resources on the top of base OS, that is RHEL. So this OS is called guest OS or virtual OS. Why virtual? Because it's using the virtual resources. Now, if I tell you the whole architecture, it's like this is your laptop. Inside it, Windows is running, and this laptop is using some resources: RAM, CPU, network card, NIC card. Network card is also known as NIC card, hard disk. So these all are available. These all are real. If you open the back of your laptop, it will like all you can see. And on this base OS is running. So base OS, we can say that OS from on the top of which OS we are the software called VirtualBox. We are installing on this top of this Windows. So on which OS we are installing this particular software, that OS is known as base OS, and this software will create a one program, or like it's like an one program that is installed inside a Windows, but it will create some trick, or by using some trick it will create one layer of virtualization. So this will create a layer of virtualization, and using this trick of virtualization, or like using this tricks of this program knows the tricks how to create virtual resources, how to create virtual RAM, virtual CPU. So it will create some resources that are virtual, that are like virtual. Just a second. So it is like creating that particular one operating system, that is RHEL, and for this operating system, it's creating virtual RAM, Let me write here what it's creating is virtual RAM it's creating. Just a second. Yep. So it's creating virtual RAM, virtual CPU, virtual hard disk, everything it's creating virtual for to run this particular OS. That's why this OS is also known as virtual OS. Now, if I go to that particular installation thing, yeah, so this is like and again the virtual we can say virtual networking it's creating. So it's creating this virtual networking, it's creating some bridging. That's why we selected bridge adapter. So it's creating some bridging between this particular virtual OS and base OS, virtual machine and base machine. That means the Red Hat Enterprise Linux and the Windows. It's creating some bridging to go to the internet or to communicate with the internet. If you click on begin installation, see it's saying root password is not set. So if I set the root password. If I now click on done, it's saying no user is created. So I'm creating a user. It will automatically take some username for me. Password I'm giving. So as I enable the password, as you can see, I created this user and I'm clicking on done. So in the background, it's doing some file processing. Now, what is the meaning of file processing? Let me tell you. Yeah, so to run a particular operating system, we need few things. Or let me give some terminology before that to you. So storage means storage is equals to just hard disk. So we can't say the RAM is storage. So RAM is like called memory. RAM. And togetherly RAM and CPU are called computing unit. Now why computing unit? That I will explain you in the next video. This is kind of setup video I want to keep. And hard disk is called storage unit. Now, why storage unit? Why computing unit? What's the difference between storage unit and computing unit? I will gonna tell you in the next video. But before that, let me go back to my installation thing. Yeah. So yeah, I click on done, and in the behind scene, if you see in the down, it's installing some files or copying some files. Why it's copying some file is because to run an operating system, we need this to install, or let me tell you in this way, to install the operating system means to install the component of operating system. So there are multiple components in the operating system or multiple software that we need to run that particular operating system. For installing operating system, we need hard disk. And to run the operating system, we need RAM and CPU. Why this? In the detail, I will explain in the next video. But yeah, we are installing operating system, and for this we need the hard disk that we already have virtual hard disk. But to install operating system means to copying files, where copying files into the hard disk. So that particular VirtualBox software is creating one layer of called virtualization or virtual layer. Using this layer only, we are able to install multiple operating system on the top of one operating system, that is Windows. So using Windows, it's using the resources, RAM, CPU, network card, hard disk that I already told you. It's creating some virtual resources. But to run particular operating system or to run the operating system, we need some files also. So there are multiple files also that is needed to run any operating system. So what this VirtualBox software is doing is it's taking those files and copying to this newly created operating system, that is like virtual operating system. So yeah, those files are like copying in the background. As soon as it's done, the operating system will be like installed. So I hope guys, there is no doubt in installing the operating system or installing the operating this virtualization software called Oracle VirtualBox. If you have any doubts, you can push down to the comment box or you can ping me on LinkedIn also. I'm happy to help you. And let's see in the next video. In the next video, we can see like why we need the operating system, what is exactly the operating system, how we can, why exactly the operating system we need to install, what is the use case. Yeah, thank you guys for this video.